welcome back to another episode of The Lonely Liberal Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Zankin, and I'm so happy to have you on this very snowy Sunday afternoon. We got a great show for you today. Rick and I are going to go through the news like we do every Sunday. And of course, this week is going to be heavily about the fact that ICE has killed another American. And this has obviously sparked huge outrage and huge drama. And like we say, when we ever cover these very serious topics, well, like Rick and I are obviously, correctly addressing the seriousness of them. Our nature, the way we cope with things is very silly, very jokey. That's why we started this show, frankly, so we could, have a more digestible way of dealing with a lot of the drama and tragedy that happens in American politics. So we talk about it in the show in more detail, but just wanted to say that off the top before we get started. But really, I am just so happy to have you. And frankly, in moments like this, I'm so happy that not only, I have this show, but we have this show, and we can maybe have some catharsis and just talking about how we're feeling right now, because in times like this, when things seem so crazy and so much insanity in the world, it can feel very isolating. And I think it's a good reminder that, many, many people have seen what has happened in Minnesota, not just this week, but like over the last month. And so in our outrage and upset, my hat goes off to more than my hat. I mean, the people who are protesting even in the snow and the cold. It's unbelievable what they're doing. And so it's a lot to talk about, and it, kind of buries the lead a little bit. But yeah, I'm really excited to have you guys here, and I hope you'll enjoy the show. So without further ado, let's get to it. Alrighty, we are back with Rick. Rick, what is up, dude?
Hey, not much. A little bit under the weather, but hanging in there. How are you doing?
I'm good. We're now in the beginnings of this snowstorm that, this is a major publicity snowstorm, which they happen every now and then, but this is one of the bigger ones in a while. So, everyone stay warm out there.
Yeah, we're supposed to get like a foot, maybe a foot and a half. It'll probably be 4 inches, but it just started snowing, so it's here.
And every time it snows like 6 inches down south, the whole world crumbles. It's just incredible, the difference, because of the infrastructure and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. And Ted Cruz flies to Mexico as soon as he possibly can.
He tried again this week. He was in Florida, and they got so much booze, he flew back.
It's unbelievable.
I love how Ted Cruz yet again flees state. And it's like always a picture of him in like a COVID mask, too, which is just makes it always so much sweeter, because he says about his anti-COVID crap.
Right.
It's crazy. No, I mean, this week was a disaster. Per usual. Well, I guess per usual, but obviously even more somber than normal because people are literally dying. Obviously, for this show, we joke around, and we will continue to joke around, but that doesn't take away from the literal seriousness of what's actually happening. And frankly, it never does. But the point of this show isn't a soliloquy to the world ending, which it very well could be, but instead of trying to, not cry every single day, we were trying to laugh about some stuff.
Yeah, 100%. I think we try to mix in serious analysis with humor, and that's the way we process these things. And I don't think we should necessarily change that just because it was a uniquely awful week with what ICE is doing. So hopefully our listeners will understand, if we make jokes, we're not at all making light of what's going on. This is just, us processing everything.
Exactly.
And it reminded me a little bit of how comedy shows respond to these types of things. Because I think The Daily Show is really good at walking the line of maintaining the humor while clearly addressing the seriousness of these situations. And what I don't want us to do is what Saturday Night Live did after Hillary's loss to Trump, which is have the actress who plays Hillary seriously cover the song Hallelujah as a cold open. And I don't think that's the answer for us. Yeah, I don't think we should totally go full serious. We should process these things as we naturally do. So how are you feeling about all?
Well, I'm definitely not gonna be. You plead the fourth, immediately break out in a song. But yeah, that was a legendary moment.
I
Oh,
do
I
have
mean,
I do have my acoustic guitar nearby, and I did learn Mad World recently. So
really? I mean, that would fit
I'm
the
just
scene.
gonna-
This is a kind of a Donnie Darko Mad World moment because it is crazy. I mean, it's absolutely insane, and especially last night as the details came out about what happened. The anger, right, and the frustration. I feel like that's not only natural, like honestly, what we should be feeling because it is so frustrating.
Exactly.
But I think before we talk about anything, remember.
First, of course, as I always say, no matter what, go Bills.
Because if you don't remember, that was Senator Schumer's response after the massacre in Australia. It's a good reminder that, we are not Senator Schumer as the senator. We are a show. but
even though we actually responded more seriously than Chuck Schumer did
exactly.
in that instance.
That's why I wanted to play the clip. Just remember. This is the bar. So yes, let's just get to it. This week, the biggest news story by far, which is devastating. ICE killed yet another American. They've shot 6 Americans so far, and now killed 2 in the last month. Not even month, like few weeks. This time it was Alex Preddy, a 37-year-old, a VA ICU nurse. And this one was crazy. I mean, they're all crazy obviously, this doesn't make anything less crazy. But apparently, he was reported that he had a gun that he was licensed to carry that was already removed before, obviously, he got shot. There are videos out. He gets maced. He gets, pinned to the ground. And they shot him, 10 times, which is just absolutely disgusting. Yeah, I mean, this is somehow even more terrifying than the Renee Good one, which was already terrifying and devastating. I don't know, the video, especially watching the video. What were your original thoughts on this? Because I could go on for a 30-minute screaming rant, so I think it makes more sense to have you speak first so I don't take the whole show up.
Yeah, I mean, there's a million directions that I could go with it. Obviously, the parallels of police brutality in general, and we've seen things like this happen before, with just normal police officers.
Mhm.
And there's the micro and the macro of the specific instance of what happened versus the follow-ups and Trump's response and everything. But just reacting to the actual video, there were 7 officers beating him before they shot him.
Yep.
7 armed officers who should be trained in detaining somebody because that's literally their entire jobs. 7 of them apparently could not detain one guy, so they needed to shoot him. That was 7 in the small video that we saw. Obviously, there were probably dozens more within a 30-feet radius. So it speaks to how quickly they shoot, even quicker than American police, which is terrifying. It speaks to how little training these guys have, that they felt that threatened for their own safety in a giant group against one person. So yeah, there's just a lot of insanity around it. But what was your first reaction?
I had 2 kind of main thoughts when I saw this, other than the obvious horror and, everything you just said, right? Just this is unbelievable how not just poorly trained they are, how cowardly they are. Those guys. What cowards. But 2 thoughts. One is, that parallel to police brutality. But what makes it even worse, to me at least, is they're not cops, right? They're not supposed to be engaging with Americans, period. The analogy I was thinking about last night was TSA agents aren't allowed to pat people down at concerts because that's their job in the context of an airport.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just because you do a job that is similar to a cop, the context matters. They're not cops. They're not officers. That's not their job. Their job is to detain illegal immigrants, bring them to the detention center, and then bring them to whatever, removal centers or whatever they're called. Deportation centers, right? That's like literally the job of ICE. They're not really supposed to be engaging with Americans, period. Like, so it gives so much more secret police mafia vibe because it isn't their job and they really aren't like, and I know like I'm harping a little bit, but like, I think that matters so much because when police brutality happens and it's a tragedy and it's awful, there's a little bit more context of like, okay, these guys' jobs are to deal with criminals and they have a lot of, experience and inexperience and like there's a lot of defense response because like their job is to deal with people that are like inherently could be dangerous and they could be threatened. ICE is not supposed to deal with Americans basically ever. Other than very procedural things or mistakes, like, oh man, we thought this person was, undocumented and they weren't, which is embarrassing, but that's way more believable. But yeah, they're killing people who are Americans. And that's not even to talk about the people who are dying in the detainment centers. Like, it's disaster. So that was thought one of just like, this isn't, it feels like police brutality, but to me, at least, it's worse because they're not cops, actually. Like, and I think that really matters. And then two, and this is potentially the most terrifying part of it all, and I'm really curious what you think, is honestly what scares me more than them shooting people, which is literally probably one of the most scary things that can happen, is how quickly the administration lies to our faces, despite the clearest opposite evidence, like, debunking evidence out there. Like, they literally instantly, all of them, the gnomes, the Hegseths, all of these guys, this is a terrorist. He was threatening their lives. They didn't think blah, blah, blah. And a video comes out and it's, to your point, like 8 dudes beating the crap out of a guy and then literally shooting 10 rounds at him. And like, it couldn't be further away from what actually happened. And they're so willing, like, they don't even remotely try to make any nuance at all. Like, it's immediate takedowns, it's immediate attacks, it's immediate denial, and it's so terrifying to me that they're so willing to lie so quickly and so fully. And you could say, oh well, man, politicians always lie, but like, not like this, not so blatantly, and this is what really freaks me out, because it just shows you they're not willing to tell the truth if it hurts them in any context whatsoever, no matter what proof is out there. And I think when you start viewing this administration through that lens, things get even more terrifying and even more concerning, because if they would lie like this about something so out in the open, I don't think it's a conspiracy theory to say that they could be lying about everything, even way more blatantly than we're used to from general politicians. But yeah, Rick, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I have seen, I'm glad you brought up like the differences between past instances of police brutality and this one, because most Americans agree that we need some sort of police force. Like, personally, I think we need like a major reform of the way our police everywhere does business. But I don't think we should completely abolish all police forces. And most people agree with that.
911. Yeah.
Right. So like you said, like the difference here is that the people of Minneapolis do not want ICE there. A majority is extremely opposed to this. It's unnecessary. And then, so I think some people on the left and people on the left have done this with Trump in general by always pointing to George W. Bush and the war in Iraq to say, like, we've been through worse before. Like, is it really that bad? And like, yes, it is. Like, the war in Iraq was really bad. And the police state is really bad, and our history with civil rights is really bad. But also, in the modern context, what Trump is doing now is absolutely terrible. Like, all those things can be true at once. And what you said about their ability to lie in the face of video, like, it's a great point. And we have to remember, like, we're only about 15 years into most people having a smartphone, and we're only like 10 years into cop body cameras being like mainstream and having widespread use. So we're really like 10 years into being able to even capture this type of brutality on camera. So it is new that they're willing to lie to our faces that strong. Like if you look at, historical examples or international examples of national governments, oppressing their citizens and killing people in the streets, like there is, in most of those historical examples, like there is this confusing part where people are just blindly following their politician but there's no concrete evidence otherwise. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah, totally.
Like maybe they're burying their head in the sand, but there's not a video of a concentration camp being built in 1938, like
Yeah, totally. That's a great point. Yeah,
like
for sure.
whereas now we not only have videos, we have multiple high definition videos from 10 feet away from all different angles. So the confidence of their lying to us, I think, is like a new level of scary, at least in the modern American context.
No, yeah, I and like it's weird because, when, for example, like the George Floyd stuff happened also in freaking Minnesota, my God. Like everyone was like, okay, like, wow, look at the way this dude got killed. This is so awful. Obviously it spurred a huge Black Lives Matter stuff and all that stuff made total sense. But when that happened, no one was really saying the cop acted right there. They might have attacked George Floyd's character. They might have said the movement after it was too extreme. And that was more of the criticism on the right. Like, okay, guys, like, yeah, that cop sucks, but like that you shouldn't go so hard. Like, you're being dramatic with all this BLM stuff. This is so different. They're not only saying the ICE agent did nothing wrong. They're saying these guys are heroes and the person that got killed was intentionally trying their hardest to endanger the ICE agent, which exactly is proven immediately when you look at any evidence that we're seeing. And to your point, like, we have access to this now because of technology. And I just think that difference is really meaningful because they're not ever admitting wrong ever in any context ever. And anyone who was criticizing the left, social media presence for like, the Kirk stuff or blah, 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 like, I don't understand how anyone couldn't just be like, I can't believe this. I feel like I've been part of a hypocritical movement and like, my God, I'm wrong here. This is terrible. They're using federal agents to kill people. And when they do kill people, they don't take any accountability whatsoever. This is terrifying. Like, that to me alone should be not political at all. Like, there should be no partisanship at all in the fact that ICE agents shouldn't be killing Americans, especially as brutally as they are in those exact contexts.
Right. Yeah. And the defenses you always hear from the MAGA world throughout the past year is always that they're going after violent criminals who are here illegally, right? Like that's always the defense. And we don't want to make it seem like when we point out that this was an American citizen with no criminal record, like we don't want to make it seem like we're all downplaying how terribly they're actually treating immigrants and undocumented people here.
Of course, yeah.
That's unbelievably awful. But we have to point out that like this defense of don't worry, they're just detaining violent criminals, like we're so far past that being remotely believable.
This is a VA ICU nurse. Like Renee Good said, don't worry, man, I'm not mad at you. And then they killed her. They shot her in the face. This stuff is, it's really weird, man. And it speaks to the level of sociopathy that the Trump administration has, put out. And yeah, I mean, they all need to go. Like Kristi Noem needs to go. Hegseth needs to go. Hegseth, I mean, my God, he really needs to go. But I think Noam is the easier one to think about. And it just, like, if not now, when? Like, if this isn't enough to wake someone up to how horrific this is, you're never being woken up. Like this, this should be enough, right? It should have been enough a long time ago, frankly. But I get it. People cling on to different narratives. They get bad news. They're on Newsmax, they're on whatever, and their friends, their family are telling them different things than, what someone like you and I are saying. Okay, there's no excuse anymore. I mean, if you see this video and you really think that what Hegseth and Noam are saying is true, you're a maniac. I mean, not a maniac, but you're so closeted in your own weirdness. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Really.
Right, but I don't know. But what if you care so much about getting red dye 40 out of our food?
Yeah, what if they really just know 5G's really causing cancer? It's just crazy. And I said it last week, but before we go on to more ice stuff, but like different ice stuff, I just gotta remember, like, the hypocrisy of these people who said, oh, I'm not getting a COVID vaccine, or I'm not wearing a mask. Yeah, it may be the law, but you can't control me. You can't control my body. This is all part of a way to track us and blah, 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 blah. Now we're telling us this is okay. Literally
Right.
The government killing people is okay. But wearing a friggin' mask on the subway during a global pandemic is government overreach. What? Like, please understand the hypocrisy, please. Like, it's crazy.
Right, and the hypocrisy around just this week, I saw Kyle Rittenhouse making media appearances in right-wing media. A kid that brought a gun to a protest and ended up killing somebody, who they all instantly got behind and have since made him this new darling of the conservative
celebrity
movement.
Yeah.
Right. And but this instance, the guy just had it coming.
What was he doing there? Like, you're not allowed to protest. You're not allowed to, like, record. Also, my favorite part about is he had the licensed gun that they obviously secured well before they killed him. I thought people were allowed to hold the guns. I thought the reason why people wanted guns was if the federal government went crazy, we need to be able to defend ourselves. I've been hearing that, Rick, my whole life. We need guns because if the federal government starts killing us, how will we defend ourselves? This guy has a gun, and now they say he was asking for it? Like, what? It's just so much proof that all of it was BS. It was always just whatever was convenient to make their selfish point of view validated in their head. And a huge majority of these people didn't have any actual values consistent with each other. They just changed over time depending on whatever was convenient to meet their selfish immediate interests. That's clearly true because it's just hypocrisy after, there's nothing left. Nothing left. There's nothing left. It's over. Like, the only thing that would be true of a conservative 20 years ago and now is that they love giving tax cuts to rich people. That's the only sticky point.
Right. That's it.
And I don't know. Do you have anything else to say? I'm ranting a bit, but it pisses me off because it's so stupid, and it's so obvious. And yet people are so willing to spend hundreds of hours dissecting chemtrails but they have no tolerance when it's right in front of their face. It's just so frustrating.
Right. It's just the last straw. We've seen Trump has made us all so aware of the hypocrisy on the right with everything involving religion and Christianity because he's just the worst Christian that's ever lived.
The fakest Christian of all time.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's become evident since he won the nomination 10 years ago that all of that stuff was bullshit. But now everything else, about the Second Amendment and the First Amendment and freedom
mainly
of speech.
The first. Yeah, right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All of that was also bullshit. They also never cared about any of that.
100%. And all the boys, if you're right-leaning, we have a big, right-leaning base. All your boys, the Rogans, the Vaughns, especially Rogan, who was just incessantly talking about free speech over and over, the Jordan Peterson over again, they should be losing their shit right now if that was true. They should be going crazy If they're really just, hey, I'm just a fly on the wall and, I don't really feel political. I just want to be able to tell my jokes and not get canceled. If that's what you think, really, then you should be losing your shit right now. Like, that's the only appropriate reaction for anyone who actually cares about free speech. Period. Like,
Exactly.
and it's crazy because with this ICE stuff, like, we're talking about it before the show. This week also, ICE literally did an operation and is continuing to do an operation in Maine right now called Operation Catch of the Day, where they're like they've already arrested like hundreds of people. And like, I know, right-wing trolls, but like, this is a federal branch killing people. Like, that's not funny. It's not funny. Like, I like to think you and I are not, easily offended by trolls. But like, in light of murder, I feel like, come on now.
Yeah, exactly. And I know I've become so exhausted with the whole troll like mentality of not just MAGA, but all the MAGA adjacent people like Joe Rogan and Theo Von, like you mentioned, like this whole like, oh, we make these little wisecracks because we're not PC and we can joke about anything. And it's like, you guys have a secret police force and you're killing people on the streets. Like, you can't
exactly.
hide behind, oh, we put a silly little name and we gave Trump a fake little Nobel Pity Prize. And, it's just like, you can laugh your way into a gas chamber.
Yeah, like,
with that mentality.
That's what it feels like. When do you draw the line? Yeah.
Right. And it's that classic thing of like, they come for other people and I didn't say anything. And then when they came for me, there was nobody else to say anything. And these people will just bury their heads in the sand and make all types of justifications until them or their family member gets deported to, Brazil for no reason.
Or one of their cousins
killed.
is at a protest and gets shot in the leg or something like that, which is increasingly more likely. And, this obviously spurred huge protests in Minnesota, which, by the way, really badass of these guys because it's literally a terrifyingly cold winter storm right now. Incredibly proud of the protesters of Minnesota. My God, like, these guys are really brave.
Right. And also, let's thank ICE for going after the states with the most undocumented violent criminals, Minnesota and Maine.
I know.
They're doing a
northern.
great job of focusing on the problem with our southern border that they campaigned on for 10 years.
And the only place they're really supposed to even be. Like, I mean, they're not even supposed to be around here. It's so stupid. And go on, go ahead.
And I think, as we get into sort of like the democratic reaction of the leaders and everything, like, I just want to drive that point home about the difference between this and other police brutality. Like, we do not need ICE. ICE does not need to be in these places.
Yes.
We have the FBI. The FBI's entire job is to find violent criminals within the United States and prosecute them. And the FBI is insanely powerful, more powerful than probably most of the country's militaries internationally.
Yeah, literally.
And if you want to say, okay, we'll expand the FBI budget so they can focus on undocumented immigrants with violent criminal records, okay. But that's not at all what ICE is doing. ICE is a new, unnecessary police force that is now effectively acting on the whims of the crazy president.
And,
as he dives fully into his dementia world.
100%. And it's a perfect segue to the next thing, because not only is that true, what you just said, ICE's budget is so high. I don't think people realize. We've said it on the show, but, this might be your first time listening. Hello, how's it going? I hope you're not too upset. But they have the budget that the OB3, the One Big Beautiful Bill, gave out for them would make them the 16th largest military in the world in terms of budget. Billions and billions of dollars. So this now is coming up to a vote, and The spending bill that was passed, actually just got passed in the House, by the way. Nice job, House Democrats, by the way. Love that you approved that. And now the Senate was meant to vote on it this week. They are going to be voting on it this week. And because of this murder, right, a lot of Democratic politicians, including Schumer, who we give a lot of grief, good job here, says they'll block a funding package if it includes ICE money because of what happened. Again, the proposed bill, I think it's $65 billion, $64.5 billion. ICE's budget is going to be $10 billion this year. Yeah, this does give the Dems some leverage, but I mean, it's not even really a leverage point. I don't even want it to be like a political Democrat versus Republican, even though it will be and it is in a way. This is just common sense. Like, this shouldn't be partisan. They don't need that much money, and no one should think that, period.
Right, exactly. And hopefully they'll be able to get something done to prevent ICE, but I think I don't know exactly what the right approach is for Democratic politicians to take. Obviously, it should be a stronger approach than they're generally taking now.
Yeah.
I think maybe having the governors in these states saying we're calling for an emergency statewide election where the question will straight up be, do you want ICE to continue operate in our state? Just leave it as simple as that, put it to a vote. And this would not prevent ICE from doing terrible things in states like Texas and Florida, which would probably vote yes to continue that. But it would stop this targeting of Democratic states, or at least, if it doesn't stop it, at least it's like a very clear indication of like Trump is acting against the interests of the citizens. At least it's like unquestionable then that these people do not want ICE there.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And I haven't heard anyone propose that. That's smart. I think, or some type of ballot like that, right? Something along the lines, because I don't want people to go, well, I don't think they should never be there. What if there's a, you know what I mean? Like some like unbelievably specific. So yeah, like a well-written question around that would be really good. That's smart. Yeah, I mean, I think this will probably lead to shutdown 2, but, shutdown watch 2, I guess, and probably will be a story over the next few weeks, because if I had to predict what will happen, ICE will get their money. I mean, let's be real. I mean, do we really think that in 6 months we'll be like, oh man, I can't believe they didn't give any ICE money? Like,
yeah,
it's going to be something gross.
Yeah, or Trump will just find a way to appropriate funds from another department, and then which will wind up in the Supreme Court in a year, and they'll vote 6-3 that it was legal to do that.
Yep. Which is what they already have done with FEMA spending, right? I mean, Noam gave all the FEMA budget basically to ICE, and they really lucked out, by the way, that there was no hurricanes and stuff, because I'm really worried that FEMA is ready to go. And, before we talked about before we go on, like we talked about the snowstorm happening right now. And you do know, like almost certainly if it's as strong as people say, like there's going to be major drama in the South, in some southern states, like we kind of were joking about in the front, because they just don't have the infrastructure. And then what will happen? They'll want money from the government to fix it. And right. I thought they don't like government subsidies, and I thought they don't like taxes. Like, I'm so sick of subsidizing these states. I'm always on team, we all need to unite. I just... remember with the California wildfires? They were like, well, maybe if you didn't have a lesbian fire chief, we'd give you money. Like, I have a hard time forgetting that. That was so ridiculous and so evil.
Right, and another thing I think some of the anti-ICE politicians can do is what you're seeing the Minnesota governors do, which is mobilize their state National Guard. Now, I don't know what will come of that. Obviously, we don't want a literal civil war between ICE and a National Guard, but like at the same time, let's do a quick throwback to 2015. There was a military exercise. President Barack Obama was president. There was a military exercise in Texas between Navy SEALs and Green Berets. So like the best of the best and the most trained of our military. Fox News spun this as Obama trying to take over Texas. And Governor Greg Abbott mobilized the National Guard and ordered them to stand by and monitor the Navy SEAL exercise because he was convinced that they would expand from training to just taking over cities. So they were willing to do that for a totally bullshit reason. And the Texas governor was willing to. So, like, this is more than enough reason for states to mobilize the National Guard.
Yeah, that's a great point. A really good point. I mean, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's true. And I can't believe we're at that point, but it's true. This is way more.
Right.
Like, this is real now, you know? If not now, then when, right? Like, I mean, it's
only
crazy
been 1 year, by the way. We're only 25% through this term.
And it's crazy because I was confident, if you asked me Wednesday, this show would be mostly about the Trump and gang in Davos absolutely making a fool of themselves on the international scene. Yeah, now here we are, 38 minutes in. It's coming up, right? Like, I mean, but it's worth talking about because, yeah, they went to Davos and made a fool of themselves. I mean, there's so much to say what actually came out of it. Basically, the highlights were, or the lowlights, I guess you could say, were Trump talking about American first stuff, basically talking crap against NATO, them talking about their economic stuff. And I want to play a clip from Scott Bessent here in a second. There's Board of Peace stuff, Greenland stuff, Gaza stuff. But all in all, it was, the circus came to town. And the people of Davos got a nice little flavor of what we've been dealing with now for the last year.
Yeah, what a complete mess this has been this week.
It's such a joke.
I mean, the all of Trump's chickening out. It's hard. Like, we could have an entire podcast, not a podcast episode. We could start a new podcast dedicated to Trump walking back things that he said the previous week. And just go, Oh, what did Trump walk back this week? I mean, thank God he walked back threatening the military to invade Greenland. And he said, he thinks after meeting with the NATO secretary, he thinks they'll be able to
Can you believe you just said that sentence out loud? Thank God Trump has said we will not be militarily invading Greenland. Oh, boy. What a sentence. That is true in 2026. But anyway, continue. Sorry.
No, but I mean, my overall reaction to the whole week was of the Davos stuff is just what you said, just the word embarrassment. It's just so embarrassing that we have this clown representing the country. Like, I was embarrassed enough being in Europe, knowing the stereotype is George W. Bush,
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I mean,
uneducated.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right. Uneducated, but wants to invade everywhere because we know better than citizens in other countries. Like, that whole mentality, that was embarrassing enough 10, 15 years ago. This is just like, I don't even know. He just acts like a dumb toddler at every possible situation. There's never a situation Trump encounters that he can't like make dumber and just like, I don't know, just so immature. And it's like, it's bad enough in domestic politics, but it's so embarrassing when he goes abroad.
It's so true. And I mean, we can, I guess, bang it out one by one. So, yeah, the Greenland stuff, like you said, they are now not going to invade them probably. And there's he met the NATO guy, and I think that's when he learned what NATO was and said, oh, wait, you guys can like work together with us to put more military presence. And yeah, they said, yeah, we don't really care, I guess, as long as you guys like put defense up, and everyone scratched their head and go, wait a minute, isn't that what's already happening? But anyway, so yeah, it's not a full de-escalation, but it's definitely a little bit one. One of the most unbelievable moments was just the talking about Gaza. And two things, okay? So we talked last week of the Board of Peace. And, Trump's you have to pay $1 billion to join a panel of what will happen to Gaza. And we talked about the people who have joined, who are invited and stuff like that. We found out, of course, Putin was invited. But Netanyahu was not only invited, he accepted. And this was one of those brain-breaking moments when you start thinking about it. Your brain starts, you actively start getting dumber, Wait a minute. The guy who literally killed all of the people is now on the board of peace to determine what happens to the people he killed? That would be like putting Nazis on the reconstruction of Europe plan.
Right.
You what? Oh, throw Mussolini on the board of peace. Well, he'll figure out what to do with Italy now. What? It's not dramatic to say that. Netanyahu's the one who's killed them. How can he be on the board of peace? This guy is a literal war criminal. Literally there's a warrant by the International Court of Justice of him committing war crimes, and he is now on the board of peace on the group that he literally was the one causing the violence to.
Right. And
how does your brain even wrap your head around that?
Right. And the Board of Peace has basically become filled with world leaders who are so desperate that they're willing to suck up to Trump, like Zelensky, which is understandable, or world leaders that just like Trump, like the leader of Turkey and Qatar, and that's it. There's nothing about peace or military strength or diplomatic relations. None of that is going into this board. It's just who's desperate enough to say yes, basically.
I feel like if you put Saddam Hussein on the board of Kurdish peace, didn't that guy tear gas them? Well, he gave us $1 billion and loves Trump. It's so embarrassing. And then to that point, Jared Kushner, who's also on the board of peace, husband of Ivanka Trump, resident Jew for the Trump administration, right? Because I feel like every time there's anything related to Judaism, he throws Kushner on it because he's the only Jewish guy he knows. And
oh, for sure.
100%, right? It's how does this guy continually keep going on things? He unveiled what they're calling New Gaza, and Rick, have you seen this New Gaza picture?
Yeah, I have. It's bad. It's like a bad AI drawing of Dubai.
Yeah, that's their plans. It's a real estate project. That's it. They're going to literally do it. They're going to build skyscrapers in Gaza and call it New Gaza and literally make a sandals resort. This is what's actually happening. We were joking about it. It's real. This is real life.
Right. And we've gotten so desensitized to the reality that Trump appointed his son-in-law to negotiate world peace because he's Jewish. And not only the obvious corruption there, but also Jared is a real estate developer. He has no experience doing any of this.
Exactly.
Like Trump, he has experience building towers for billionaires to live and work in. That's it. That's their only valuable job experience. And you see that with what Jared said this week. And by the way, when I say Jared, I picture Subway Jared, and I'm not going to apologize for that. But even in his official statements, it's all about the construction. It's all about Jared goes, in the beginning, we were toying with the idea of saying, let's build a free zone. Then we have a Hamas zone. And then we said, you know what? Let's just plan for catastrophic success. We have a mass signed a deal, demilitarized. That's what we're going to enforce. And then, of course, he goes on to talk about all the buildings that they're going to build, which includes waterfront developments and luxury buildings, of course.
Yeah, naturally.
Because Trump and Jared's families have to make money somehow.
Naturally.
Yeah, it's so insulting to anybody in Gaza or Palestine, but also just everybody's intelligence.
Yeah, which
insulting.
is the theme of this show.
Right.
How many times will the Trump administration directly insult our intelligence in one moment? And to that point, this isn't the clip of the week, but it was a close runner-up. Unfortunately, this week had a loaded just clip after clip after clip. It's actually one of the most difficult parts of making this podcast now will be determining my clip of the week. This is Scott Bessent at Davos talking, and for those who don't know, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, like the one making a big part of our economic policies. I wanted to play a clip, Rick, of him just chatting away with, economic leaders about how the Trump administration is going to tackle affordability and homeownership in the U.S. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
We are going to give guidance at some point to see what is a mom and pop that someone, maybe your parents for their retirement, about 5, 10, 12 homes. So we don't want to push the mom and pops out. We just want to push everyone else out.
Talk about out of touch. Maybe your parents have bought 5, 10, 12 houses in retirement? What? We're trying to buy one house. We're trying to get one. Like, what are we talking about? 5, 10, 12 houses? What?
Right. And we both live in greater upper middle class Boston area. And I don't know one person that has 5 houses. Never mind 10 or 12. I've never met somebody that has 5 in my entire life.
Of course. And you probably never will. I mean, 10, maybe your, parents in retirement bought 5, 10, 12 houses.
I've never even heard a story like, hey, I have this rich friend whose mom bought 5 houses. I have no idea where.
Just a casual 12 houses in retirement. Maybe your mom and pop. This is what they think is normal. It reminds me of when Trump said, maybe you don't need $30 for Christmas this year. Have you ever bought a doll? What? 10, 12 houses? We're trying to buy one.
And this is how dumb they think their supporters are. And I really wish that the MAGA world would start to realize that.
Yes.
Their own leaders think they're so stupid that they could throw in the phrase mom and pop and make it digestible.
They go, what is a mom and pop? Maybe your mom and pop bought 10, 12 houses. That's normal. We're not trying to go after the little mom and pops with their 12 houses. And that's what he thinks are mom and pops. What does he think a normal person does? 30, 40?
Right.
What is he Scott Bessent, by the way, net worth $3.4 billion, should be said, this, again, the theme of the show, what an insult to not only to the base, but to everyone with a working conscience that can digest that clip. My God, it's 60% of Americans are paycheck to paycheck. And this guy's saying, our little mom and pops with their 12 houses in retirement. It's just... Oh, Lord, have mercy. I'm going to start preaching. I don't know. But anyway, that's our Scott Bessent. And before we go into more domestic news, I thought I will play the clip of the week because we were talking about how embarrassing Trump has gotten talking. And I think sometimes people forget how bad it's gotten. And nowhere in the world does it show itself more than when he's monologuing for an hour straight. And this week, Trump here, actually, Linda, please, what time is it? Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Linda.
A little bit more energy next time would be great. A little monotone there, but we free. Hard week on all of us. Trump was recapping because this was the year anniversary of his inauguration, and he was just talking about how he did and how wonderful he is and stuff like that. And I wanted to play a 1.5-minute long clip of a segment of that talk because it got no news coverage whatsoever. And it's, to your point, we're just so numb to it. But I want people to think about what if in a very literal, serious address, this was literally, I was going to say Biden, but literally any politician. If they were 40, I'd be like, holy cow, take them to the hospital. Let me play this clip. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
We had in my area in Queens, I grew up in Queens, we had a place called Creedmoor. Creedmoor, did anybody know that? Creedmoor. It was I said, Mom, why are those bars on the building? I used to play Little League baseball. there, a place called Cunningham Park. He was quite the baseball player, you wouldn't believe. But I said to my mother, Mom, she would be there, always there for me. She said, son, you could be a professional baseball player. I said, thanks, Mom. I said, why are those bars on the windows? Big building. Big,
I said, thanks, Mom.
Powerful building. It loomed over the park, actually. She said, well, people that are very sick are in that building. I said, boy, I used to always look at that building and I'd see this big building, big, tall building. It loomed over the park. It was sort of, now that I think it was a pretty unfriendly sight. But I'll never forget, I don't know if it's still there, because they got rid of most of them, you know, the Democrats in New York, they took them down, and the people live on the streets now. That's why you have a lot of the people in California and other places, they live in the streets. They took the mental institutions down. They're expensive. But I'd say, why does that building have those bars? Boy, it wasn't normal. You know, you're used to looking at like a window. But this one, you look at it, all this steel, vicious steel, tiny windows, bars all over the place. Nobody was getting out. It's called a mental institution. That was an insane asylum. Designated Antifa as...
And then he ran to Antifa.
I mean, he sounds intoxicated.
And like, okay, Grandpa, time to go into the home now. Like, put them in the chair and wheel him away. Like, he should be going in that box into the big terrifying.
Sure.
Oh my God. My favorite part of that clip is my mom would say, son, you'd be a hell of a baseball player. I said, thanks, Mom. Why did he have to give us that he said thank you?
It's a really interesting clip for two reasons. First, he almost never talks about his childhood.
No,
or
never.
his parents. And the one time he did it here, it was in the context of his mom complimenting his baseball skills. So that should be noted. The second thing is just he's having a genuine moment of reflection where he's thinking about the impact that seeing apparently insane asylum or whatever term you want to use as a kid. And despite rambling for 5 minutes, he never even had a phrase showing that he had any sympathy or empathy for these people. His main point was about the appearance of the building and how sad it was that such a tall building looked so ugly.
Yeah.
He can't even, he legitimately, it's not just an inability to sympathize. He cannot pretend to sympathize.
He can't, because it doesn't even cross his mind. Even while he's rambling, there's no care there, because it doesn't pop up. Like, everything he could have thought, the building, the size of the windows, the menacing nature of it, his baseball skills, his mom telling him he has a hell of a swing.
I've listened to hours and hours of this guy talking, and the 2 times he's brought up his parents are saying, my dad gave me a small loan of $1 million, which was a lie. It was tens of millions. And my mom thought I was a great baseball player.
It's unbelievable. And I want people to remember, this is in the middle of him talking about the economy. He was mid-comment about tariffs, where he was like, look at New York. Remember when I was in New York? I used to play baseball in New York as a kid. My mom thought I was a hell of a baseball player. There was this ugly building next to it. You'd see these bars. My God. Yeah, man, I'd just be playing baseball. I'd wonder, why is it such an ugly building? Like, dude, you're talking about tariffs right now.
It's so insane.
This is what was on the road, people. This is what we took to Davos.
It's like, yeah, Trump, you said you wanted to get the Gaza deal done fast. Yeah, it's fast. I remember when I was on the track team and people said I was really fast. They said, that's a fast man. There he goes. He's fast.
I said, thank you. He's so fast. I could run away from anyone. I ran away from this. I ran away from that. You know, anyways, yeah, you know, my mother used to tell me, man, you don't even need shoes. You're so fast. I was shoeless Dawn without shoes.
Anyways, Antifa.
Antifa. The Democrats. Am I right, people? All right, we'll call it. Like, it's literally so insulting.
And anyone
got
my Big Mac? Donnie's hungry.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Tom Teague. All right, boys, you've been great. I'll talk to you later. That's literally what this is. This is what this is. This is it. And speaking of speaking of Big Macs, RFK Jr. is in the news again this week, and Mr. Kennedy found another conspiracy theory to hone in on this week. We've gone through so many. We had the, chemtrails being recognized by the EPA. We're talking about dyes. We're talking about vaccines. We're talking about Tylenol causing autism. We're just running the gamut of all the different conspiracy theories that could potentially be linked to health. RFK will sniff to the bottom of it. And this week, he's talked about 5G, which cracks me up because I remember when COVID was happening, they said it was a fake pandemic and it was really just so they can install the 5G towers. But yeah, he's back. Cell phone radiation, the World Health Organization, every other body that's ever done any studies say cell phones are safe and there's no proof yet that they're carcinogenic. Yeah, but also it's not a coincidence that this week the U.S. formally pulled out of the WHO, the World Health Organization. So that sucks. And so 5G's back in the news, baby.
Yes, our health secretary called it a major health concern.
I'm sorry.
It's just so I'm writing the next blog post for the Lonely Liberal Substack. Check it out.
Nice.
And it's on RFK and Make America Healthy Again. And there was this recent poll that from the Washington Post that found that even though Republicans, most of them identify as supporting Make America Healthy Again, and most Democrats don't, when you actually ask them what are the biggest threats to our health, over 75% of Americans agree whether or not they support it. They agree that things like processed foods, social media addiction, all those things are threats to our health. Mm-hmm. So there's broad agreement, and yet instead of focusing on that, RFK can't criticize social media because Trump's richest donors are literally the owners of the social media companies.
Naturally.
He's got to find something else. There's only so much red dye 40 you can get out of our food.
Exactly.
It's just we've talked about previously, with some Trump things, there's a shred of truth. This one's a stretch because the shred of truth is that social media is bad for you, which is part of our phone addiction. But this is quite the stretch to say that it's actually the 5G that's the real concern.
It's the G. Nothing wrong with 4G. 3G was a walk in the park. My God, when 3G was around, I could just think of everything. I could tip without a calculator. Everything was great. But then when they rolled that 5G around, my God, my brain just couldn't handle it. It's just so embarrassing and so insulting that instead of funding cancer research, they're digging deep into 5G. Cancer research gets cut, whatever, heart disease, all these issues that actually kill people, gun violence, which we'll talk about in a second. No, we got to get to the bottom of 5G. And speaking of social media, today, this week, the China-U.S. TikTok deal was officially closed. So TikTok is now no longer a Chinese company. It's now owned by a consortium of American companies, basically. A lot of these former ByteDance donors, which are the original guys. But the biggest news is that Oracle now owns 15% of TikTok, obviously friend of the administration. So yeah, now TikTok is basically partly owned by the right-wing consortium. So I wonder if that'll affect the algorithm the same way it did with Twitter when Elon bought it.
Right, and Twitter and Facebook, to say they've gone downhill would be a massive understatement.
Yeah, seriously, though.
They're cesspools of just bad boomer memes. It's crazy.
A disaster.
We'll see, but obviously, like anything else, Trump wants to make his friends richer. That's what's behind all of this. And I am absolutely not comforted by the fact that now an American billionaire owns TikTok instead of a Chinese billionaire. Like,
Yeah,
I have zero faith that Larry Ellison has my interests at hand instead of
Classic Larry.
the Chinese owners from before. So yeah,
Yeah.
just another smokescreen and another fake accomplishment that Trump can talk about in his State of the Union coming up.
Remember when they were originally going to cancel TikTok and like ban it from the US, and then TikTok had that notification that like, thanks to the countless efforts of the Trump administration, we will keep it going. Like, such a scam. And obviously the irony is not lost on us that it was highly worrisome if a Chinese affiliated owner with like the Chinese government owns a social media site, because it could be used, the data could be used against us. But if a U.S. government affiliated friend owns it and can use the data against us, that's totally kosher.
Right.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, speaking of guns, earlier this week, the Washington Post reported that the Department of Justice is considering loosening a slate of gun regulations. Most that would just end up easing restriction on private sales, so not in a store, and loosening firearm shipping rules. Because I think we all have agreed that, one way that we should be dealing with, these mass shootings that happen almost every day, more than once a day, pretty much every year for the last 20 years, is let more private sales of guns and let them be shipped across borders more easily. It's so insulting, and they just could not care less about the safety of this country.
Right. It's insane. They care more about that stupid grade that the NRA gives them when they run for re-election than they do people's lives.
I wonder why they're doing that. I think, is it public outcry? Or I wonder if it's because of organizational groups. I mean, come on.
Right. And officials also announced they're going to edit the form that you fill out when you purchase a gun. It will no longer ask for your sex. It will ask for your biological sex, because they can never miss an opportunity to punch down on trans people and make dumb little culture war points that have nothing to do with the thing they're working on.
Never a missed opportunity there. I'm surprised they didn't name the gun form like biological man form. Like the manly man. It's just always something that's just like so ridiculous. Like, yeah, and it's funny. So one thing before we get out of here, and obviously you're literally sick, so you are a trooper. Oh, speaking of you being a trooper, this is a completely side tangent, but very important for the people of the show to know. Do not mess with Rick in public settings.
Oh no.
He is a talk about enforcement. He will freaking bring down the law. So this week, Rick and I went to a concert, an awesome show. It was the lead singer of the Silver Sun Pickups doing an acoustic show, which was awesome. I had such a good time. But while we were at the show, Rick and I are in the back. We're talking like very, fairly quietly. I know I have a loud voice, so I'm always insecure that it's my fault and it probably was. But this guy comes up to us and goes, "Are you guys going to be talking the entire show?" And Rick just kind of laughed in his face, and then he kind of retreated back to the wall. So after the song ended, me and Rick are just looking at each other kind of like, should I say something? Should we say something? Because we both, Rick and I, have a hard time biting my tongue. I'm infamously bad at this in these moments. And so I kind of say like, were we really that loud to you? And he goes, "Yeah, I heard you through my noise canceling earbuds." And we were like, And then Rick came over and said, "Look, buddy." Rick came over and goes, "Look, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself."
No.
Chickadee, check yourself. No.
Not what happened.
Rick basically said, "Be nice." And you did, though. I mean, you really shut him down, and he really respected it. And so long I wouldn't say anything and just stew the whole day. You get hat off to the week. Goes to Rick for being an absolute unit.
I gave him some immediate feedback.
Oh, you think we're
here's
liberal? You can walk over, get them.
What pissed me off so much was, obviously some people might hear the story and be like, you guys are probably talking loud. Like, we were at the back of the room and it was the opener playing and everyone was talking. So
Yes.
it was a combination of everyone around us talking at the same time and the dude's tone. He came up to us and literally goes, "So are you guys going to talk the whole show or what? I'm just checking." And I laughed in his face and go, "Yeah, we are." And he goes, "Okay, I just wanted to know." And then walked away. So then me and you are both stewing. In my head, I'm going, say something, don't say something, say something, don't say something. And so once you were like, I'm going to say something, I was like, I want to say something. Like, all I needed was a little push that you gave me. And so
you took it down.
And so you were like, are we really being that loud? And he's like, yeah, I can hear you through my noise canceling headphones, which, by the way, is a weird thing to have on for an acoustic concert that you're standing in the back of the room for. But then I had to come in and go, hey, so you didn't think to say the same thing to anyone else around us that were talking at the same time? Like, I just had to say that because I couldn't stand with the fact that he just wanted to bitch at only us. And then he goes, he gets really defensive and goes, well, you see, they were more talking in volume swells, where you guys were talking a little more consistently.
A dull roar. Yeah, exactly.
And so then I go, okay, well, if you just, said it in a little bit of a different tone, it probably would have been received better. And he goes, okay, I'm sorry about that. That's my bad. And we go, oh, that's fine. And that was it.
Rick kind of gave him a little bit of the shoulder, little like,
I just,
like,
he needed some feedback
like this. He goes, look, if you had a little bit better of an attitude, maybe we'd even talk to you. He laid it down. No, it was awesome. It was genuinely awesome. I loved it. Made my whole week. That was the best part of my week by far. No doubt about it.
Yeah, it was just like, normally in those situations I don't say anything, and you more often say something.
I'm
usually
like, I'll flounder sometimes. You really, yeah.
It was the fact that he was so bitchy about it, and the second he walked away, the guys behind us who were closer to him started talking so loudly.
They got louder.
I was like, I can't not say anything. Like, this is unbelievable that this guy just felt like he could bitch us out and not anybody else. Like,
I know. And it was an acoustic show, and like, it was like, we were not even loud. Really not. Just
be careful.
Rick
Easy.
Went like this. He went, your tone? Not okay.
It needs some changing.
I would really work on your tone when you approach young, muscular men like me and my friend. Absolute units like me and my friend here. It just made it worked though. It really worked. He apologized. He said, "I'm so sorry. I should have been better." It was awesome.
He did cave.
He caved immediately. It was awesome. It never happens. This is a piece of good news. Maybe this is how we should end the show this week, because something uplifting for people, This is an uplifting story that definitely cheers me up. Why end on the potential end of the U.S. soft power dominance and Mark Carney saying the U.S. is losing the second Cold War, or Trump suing JPMorgan or whatever? Why don't we end on that? Rick shutting down a hater at an acoustic show on a Tuesday night. I think that's how we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, great show, and made it out unscathed, so it's a success.
No fight. Yeah, just a stern look and an attitude check. Maybe that's what we need to bring to these protests. Just you going, hey.
Easy, Bubba.
Easy. I'm going to need you to bring it down a notch. It worked. That's awesome. I rode that high all night. That was awesome. Because you're right. If you don't, you stew. You know what I mean? I'll stew. I'll be like, I can't believe I just let that dude sass me. Because me and you are not fighters. We don't fight people. But I just want to give one sass back.
Yeah, and for me, I could have ignored the bitchiness of his comment if we were the only ones talking. It was the fact that like the people closer to him started talking wicked loud.
They were howling.
The second after he confronted us, and he just pretended to completely ignore them. And I was like, I can't. I'm sorry.
This is an insult. This is an insult. He went, these two scrawny bastards I could beat up. It was definitely that. Because the guy behind us who was howling like a wolf, he was huge. He was just...
Yeah, it was like 6'5".
Werewolves of London. Just, woo! Just screaming at the top of his lungs. Which,
All I
by the
wanted
way,
is
it was a punky show, too. The guy singing was like, you know, talking about blood-covered angels.
Yeah, also screaming.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't like some gentle show. The opener was really emo.
Yeah, my only hope is like on his drive home, he was like, you know what? I was pretty bitchy there. I could have been a little nicer about that.
I should have waited till after the song and just been like, hey guys, can you like quiet down a little bit during the song? I really like this guy. But anyway, all right, man. Thank you for usual. This is a great show.
Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye. And that's our show, folks. Thank you so much for listening today. If you like the show and want to give me a hand, you can either show someone it or just give it a 5-star review wherever you listen. Thank you always to the people who do that. I really appreciate it. Same with YouTube and stuff like that. But even more importantly, I'd love to hear what you guys think. You know, write in at thelonelyliberalpodcast@gmail.com or just obviously on YouTube, just comment and whatnot. Because my God, there's like a lot to talk about. It is insane. So, yes, we will be back on Wednesday. And for everyone out there listening while it's snowing and freezing, stay warm, stay safe, and we'll get through this one step at a time. See ya.